good day for everyone, and good morning for some that are still in the morning zone. And welcome to this first Go Digital Skills webinar that is organized by Project Tourbit, which is an international European project with 7 participating countries, and which is also funded by COSME program. I am here with my colleague Marta Salvador, and we will host you through this webinar. Just a few quick words about Project Tourbit and especially the Go Digital Skills webinar series that we'll be organizing through autumn 23 to spring 24. It is part of the learning process of the project, and during this process, we're gonna organize 3-level program with different topics of digitalization in tourism themes, and it will be organized once in a month. And afterwards, all the different webinars will be then placed in a platform where you can also review them later and learn new digital skills that will help you navigate in the digital world. This first webinar is in this first webinar we have speakers from Finland and also from Portugal, and we will learn some basic issues about digital marketing in tourism, and also then about some specifics concerning sustainability in the digital world and how to navigate in the new demands of sustainability. We will host the webinar so that we will first have the speakers, and then afterwards we can then go to questions or comments if we have some. But now I will hand it to you, Marta.
Yes, good morning. Yes, thank you, Anu. Good morning, everyone. I am Marta Salvador from NEST Tourism Innovation Center in Portugal. And to start this session, we invited 2 experts from Portugal that we usually collaborate, which is Pedro Batalha and Filipa Caldeira. Both Pedro and Filipa are partners in work. They are specialists, experts in digital marketing and customer experience. They have been working for the past 20 years in Full6, a leading European agency in communication and digital marketing. Also, they are partners at UZER Consulting. An agency is expert for customer experience, so data-driven, and also they are teachers in the themes of digital marketing. I think I will pass the words now, and they will. Well, it's over to you, Pedro and Filipa. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, good morning. So from Finland from Lapland to Lisbon, where we are right now. Thank you very much. It's great to be here with you. So Marta already did the introduction. Thank you. We have quite a significant experience in digital marketing, on hands-on in terms of projects that we have been doing for several companies in the tourism area and also non-touristic. And also we have been teaching at one of the main universities in Portugal, Nova.Sc, which is currently in the top 20 of executive education in the Financial Times ranking, which makes us very proud.
And also been working with Marta and Nest for some time now, and we have built a lot of touristic interesting applications that we are using throughout the country, and we can talk it in another time.
So to kick off this Go Digital Skills program, we are here to talk a little bit about customer experience strategy. Okay, for us, this is the backbone of any digital strategy, and it's very important tool to understand and to work in detail with all the digital tools. Let's start by, this is about digital. So let's start about looking at some numbers, some very updated numbers on the importance of digital in the travel industry. These are numbers very recent from May this year. And basically, I just want to highlight the importance and the share of the online business in the travel and tourism market. So basically, really growing, and almost 3/4 of all the sales are going through digital. This is coming. This is what's behind this. It's the growth of all the travel apps and the travel websites. So in this chart, you can have a look at how the revenue of all the travel apps is growing, and here, the top 5 of the most downloaded apps and most visited websites in the travel and tourism industry. I think I don't have to go through all the names. All of you know them by heart, although they are quite recent companies that really disrupted the travel market. And what are we going to look into these companies? What do they have in common? Basically, what do they have in common is really an exceptional customer experience. So let's dig into this customer experience, and especially into the digital part of the experience. Let's start by understanding exactly what is customer experience. So customer experience is how customers perceive and feel. So it's a bit of functional and emotional. All the interactions they have, a customer has with the brand and the company across all the touch points of their buying journey. Okay, so let's not confuse experience with the experience of travel itself. Okay, so this is across all the points, so it's end to end. It's when people are planning their holidays, when people are, after the holidays, talking about the experience. So it's an end-to-end experience, and it's both online and offline. Okay, so let's not confuse experience with the experience itself, and let's not confuse it also with customer service. Okay, so people tend to think about customer experience. People tend to think about customer service, which is a part of the customer experience, a very small, let's say, part, where typically we will liaise with call centers and help centers. But the best way to explain customer experience is to look at the examples. So let's start at looking some examples. One of the main companies that came and disrupt the market was Uber. Uber basically changed the entire experience of calling a taxi. And how they did it, we all know. It started, it's very easily. They started telling us with an app, you call a car, and you know exactly when the car is going to arrive and when the car is going to, how long this is going to take to the destination and how much you're going to pay. So basically, Uber came, and the way they did it was they solved one of our needs, which is time management. Time is a very precious asset right now. And Uber, with the information they were giving when we were requesting the service, basically is really dealing with this growing need of time management in the consumer's mind. And at the same time, what they did was they fixed the pain point, which was calling a taxi. Calling a taxi was a nightmare when we were still calling someone and waiting for we don't know how long. So they solved this pain point. Let's have a look at a more tourism-related company like Booking. And Booking basically also disrupted the market. They took advantage of traveling need that is really growing, need and trends, but they solved the pain point, which is how do I find and compare hotels? You know, I remember when I had to create my Excel with all the different hotels that I was searching on Google or looking in the websites, and I had to compare it myself. Booking was doing this for the consumer, and this was one of the reasons of their success. The third example is Airbnb. Airbnb basically also, you know, they build a new service in the growing trend of travel, but they understood the need and the insight of travel as a local, of living rather visiting a country. And basically, they created an experience based on building trust between the different parts of the chain. And they did this, and in this case, there was not significant or a particular pain point, but they all have something in common. What do they have in common, these three companies? They do it using a digital interface. All very, really well done and very heavy investment platforms, digital platforms. So what is important when we look at this customer experience is, you know, when trying to understand how do you do it for your business? So what are the building blocks to have this customer experience, to have a great customer experience? And the two building blocks, as we have, I mean, when we translate from the previous slide to this one, is you have to be meaningful. So you have to fulfill a consumer need or solve a pain point. And you need a digital user interface, which is very easy to use, very strong on usability, which is mobile friendly. And really the technology is so good that it's almost transparent, invisible. Okay, so we have to deconstruct a bit the customer experience to understand that we can apply it to our business. I always like to look at how the leaders of these companies and how they think, because that's the way the leader thinks. It's the way the things happen in the company. And there's a nice quote from the CEO of Booking that says that every day we have to fight to try and get bookings. And if we don't fight for the best for the consumers, that business will go somewhere else. It just takes one click. Okay, this is very important because on the importance of digital, because basically it just says, and we know that in one click, we can get a customer and grab him, or we can lose him if he doesn't find us in the digital world. Another quote from one of the founders of Airbnb that says, if you want to create a great product, just focus on one person. Make that one person have the most amazing experience ever. And this is actually, it's very customer-centric. It's very to the customer experience to really deliver an excellent experience. I wanna finalize this idea of customer experience by giving you an example that I've experienced myself, and that it's not about one of these new digital brands. So let's try to see how a traditional travel agency can reinvent themselves through a different experience. Just before the pandemic, I decided that I want to travel to a special and unique destination. And I didn't know what was coming, clearly. I had a vision. So I was going online and trying to discover where should I go. So basically, the first step is I went to Google and search where to travel. I found different destinations. And after some hours, I decided that I wanted to go to Bhutan, which is a country most of the people's most people didn't visit, so it was not very easy to call a friend and try to find where to go in Bhutan, which hotels, which places, and everything. So I continued online to try to plan my trip. For how long should I stay there? How many different places or cities should I visit? Hotels, flights. And suddenly I couldn't do it. I couldn't plan. I couldn't book hotels. I couldn't book a flight. There was no flights to Bhutan. Everything was really difficult. Why? Because you probably know, because you work in the travel industry. But for a traveler, a normal traveler, people don't know. There are a lot of rules and there are tourism policies that make it very difficult to plan. So suddenly I realized that I need a travel agency. And a travel agency for me, it's this old thing that we don't need anymore, doesn't exist. It still looks very physical. And we don't need it now. We book our flights right now. We go to booking. We book our hotel, and that's it. So I went online. I looked for agencies, and I sent them some requests for codes, and I got the reply of 3 agencies with similar plans and pricing. So I was like, wow, now how am I going to decide? And one of the agencies sent me an email and told me, can you download this app? Okay. And I was like, wow, I don't like to download apps, but this is important, so I'll do it. Okay. And when I open, I have this countdown, like saying your escape to Bhutan, it's in 13 days, 1 hour and 5 minutes. So I was like, wow. I was really excited and I wanna go. And I have all the details, I have the plan day by day. I have the hotels. I have the documents. So I had some screens of the cities I should visit, even a map, all the documents, and suddenly this was like great. So this was totally different for me. And again, I was not expecting a normal traditional agency to deliver this kind of experience, which was something that made me decide for this agency. So I took this agency. I went there. I went to Bhutan. I loved it. So if you have not been there, you should go. It's an amazing country with amazing people. I've used the app because you could upload your pictures and they were linked to the places, so it was great. And obviously, when I came back, and not only I've talked about my experience in Bhutan with my friends and my family, but also I showed them the app, and I recommended if you go there, you go with this agency. Okay, so basically what I'm describing here with my experience is that you can have this is a great customer experience, which is end-to-end. It's not just the trip to Bhutan itself. It's how I discovered the destination, how I discovered and selected my supplier, in this case, a travel agency, how I lived it, and then how I recommended after the trip. This is very digital, as you can see, different tools, but more important, what I did was I explained you the travel journey, a customer travel journey with the different steps. And this is a very important tool and framework to go and deliver and work the customer experience. And I'll pass this right now to Pedro to go through all the different building blocks of the customer journey. Pedro.
Switch places. So as Filipa was explaining, this tool is critical when we are looking at optimizing the overall experience with the consumer, being it a traveler or any other product. In fact, this tool, it's the sum of all experiences, encapsulates the sum of all experiences and touch points that a customer, in this case, the traveler, has with the brand in the company. It has 6 stages. Here, it's in fact adapted to the travel industry. So the traveler starts with a dream. It's the first stage. Then he goes through the planning. Every time that we start very broad, and every time we go down the road, it gets much more funnel, the content and everything. So we have it starts with a dream, then it goes to the planning stage, the selection stage, the booking stage, the pre-trip and trip, and then the advocacy. So we normally do all this tool in 6 stages. And to make it easier, I'll go through each one of them so that you understand better what's going in his mind throughout the road. So it all starts with a trigger. We call the trigger the reason, the motive why I start a journey. In this case, this traveler wants to book, I want to book my next summer vacation. So how does it start? The first thing is really the dream. I want to get away. But first thing that we all do, because we are all travelers, is that we need to get inspired. So I'm going to look for destinations. I'm going to look for the coolest places to stay. I'm going to blogs. I'm going to see specialized press online so that I can see what's going on, what is Condé Nast suggesting, what is on social media. I normally have few pages that I follow normally. So this is this stage, the dream, very broad. When I get to the planning stage, I consider possible scenarios already. I'm going to start researching for the practicalities. I'm going to see dates, prices. I'm going to check flights so that I understand what is feasible coming from the dream. On the selection stage, I'm normally between 2 or 3 alternatives. In here, because normally when I have these alternatives, I could go to each one of them. It's the decision criteria, the criteria that makes a difference. A price, a promotion that makes me decide for each one of them. And then I've made up my mind. I'm at the stage where I know what I want, so I'll book. This is the book stage. And then we have all the period that goes from that point, and this can be very short if I go for the next weekend, but this can also be very long period if I'm going for the summer. If I do it, all these decisions typically are made way ahead. And so this period, I can have a lot of issues. For instance, I forgot to rent a car. I don't know details that I forgot to ask if the hotel has a breakfast, includes the fee includes or not breakfast. So I need help before the trip. This is this whole period before I actually go. And also the trip itself, how I enjoy it, how I live it. And finally, the advocacy stage, where I know I love the experience and now I'm gonna, or not, and I will openly recommend it to friends or not. So this is the final stage. And this stage is very critical because it's going to be the reviews, it's going to be the experience I live on the ecosystem, the digital ecosystem, that will also then goes through the dream. I mean, it's going to fuel the dream again. So it's a circular experience. So it will influence what's in the ecosystem for the next travelers to start the journey again. To give you to structure this tool, I'm going to show you now what are the main building blocks of the tool. And we're talking essentially about 4 main building blocks. The first one is the objective. We really need to know what is the objective in each stage. What is the traveler when he's on the dream stage, on the planning, etc. stages, what is actually looking for. Then we have the channels. And the channels can be blogs, can be social media, can be looking at video in YouTube, can be looking for a website, also a customer care service. All these things make part, and these are tools that we are going to contact throughout the journey. But we also have the content, what's in it, what's inside these channels, the photos, the video, what the influencers are saying, the experts, any promotions, personalized content, ratings, reviews. Also loyalty programs are very important in this industry. And to give you an example, I'll start from the channels so that you understand a little bit what kind of channels we have, because channels are different throughout the journey. And this is very important because it's what the tool is so useful, because we know in each, once we go through this and once we map it for our product or company, we know how different they are and we can adapt. It's like a surgical view of our product. So if we start from the beginning, on the dream stage, we're looking at search tools, blogs. We can go for ads, print, TV, radio, very broad. We have, for instance, here travel guidance platforms that today a lot of them are based on AI. The example, for instance, is the TripAdvisor, where you can go and they tell you, fix your trip or imagine your trip in 5 minutes, build your trip in 5 minutes. And what you do is that you introduce how many people are going, what are destinies that you are willing to see. And in a few minutes, they give you, based not only on your needs, but also on the reviews of millions of travelers around the world, they give you a suggestion, they give you a personalized itinerary. This is critical at this stage. Also, word of mouth is very important because we know that what a friend, what a family member tells you, it's worth a lot. When we go down the road, we go to, we are narrowing our information. And so we are on the planning stage. We are now on the practicalities, as I told you. So we're going to the marketplaces such as Booking, Expedia. We go to comparison sites. Then further on when we have the alternatives between 2 or 3 scenarios on the selection stage, we probably looking at the loyalty rewards programs. If I have a miles program on a flight company, if I have a kind of a reward system on a hotel chain, that will make a lot of difference. So here we're looking at websites, we're looking at the loyalty rewards. When we go to the booking stage, we're more on an app channel for excellence for hotels, for flight companies. We're also looking for the marketplaces. Here on the pre-trip, we probably move to something like extra activity guidance. So sites like Get Your Guide, when I can get complementary activities to the main trip I have. And finally, on advocacy, we're talking about channels like social media, critical, word of mouth, Google reviews, etc. What is important to see here is that the same channels can have different roles throughout the customer journey. For instance, if we go, for instance, social media, we see that social media on the dream stage is more of a storytelling thing. It's more inspiring content. Whereas on advocacy, social media, we're talking more about user-generated content. So same channel, different roles. The same thing happens with the website. For instance, the website on the planning stage it's much more focused on mobile, because this type of searches normally are doing on snack times, on the go. So we need to make sure that the website here has a storytelling and an experience objective, but very focused on mobile. When we go to, for instance, to the pre-trip stage, we're talking more about, for instance, having frequently asked questions, easy things to answer, the normal questions a client would have, a traveler would have, before he actually gets into a hotel or gets into an experience. So important to consider this, that same channels with different roles throughout the trip that the traveler does on the customer journey. And this is critical, because sometimes we tend to have the same role, and when we do this tool, it's very useful, and you see how different they may take in terms of the role in each stage. Then we go to the content, and on the content is filling these channels with the appropriate content for the objective of each stage. So we start with videos, photos, we start with expert opinions, influencers content, very broad. And then again, when we go down the road, we go, for instance, on the selection stage, it's critical to have personalized rewards. It's a critical decision variable that makes you decide for one or the other scenario. And again, we go here, for instance, on the pre-trip, extra activities are very important. When we go to the advocacy, for instance, having a satisfaction survey with a returning offer may have a very important impact on the returning customers, fulfilling again the customer journey. Finally, the fourth building block of the customer journey is what we call the experience evaluation. So what we do is that we have a rating system. Normally we use this heart analogy, where you go from, it's like in a 5 rating tier, that we go from a broken heart here on the right, and we move up to falling in love with a brand. So normally, how do we do it? And I'll give you an example here. What we do is that, for instance, imagine that my trigger here is finding a hotel for the summer. So I start on the discover stage, on this dream phase. We have the channels, like I told you, like the Instagram, the travel guidance platforms, etc., where I'm looking for photos, video. For instance, I'm looking for Condé Nast best hotels and resorts for 2023. So I see how my brand is there. And for instance, imagine that my hotel was listed on this guide. So I have a good experience. So I'm going to rate it level 4. So it's the second best relationship with the brand. When I go to planning, and here I'm already looking at 2 or 3 destinies. Again, here I'm looking, for instance, as a channel to TripAdvisor, and I have travelers' reviews as content. But imagine here that I didn't really manage the contents well, and I have a bad rating on TripAdvisor. So here I have an issue, and the experience is not as good. And here I have a pain point. And looking at this pain point, the way I have to do it is that I need to find a solution. I need to find ways to promote and make these reviews better. Then moving, and here on these 2 stages, dream and planning, I'm also on this more emotional stage. And now I go on to a more functional stage. And on this functional stage, I'm on the selection stage here. I know already which hotels to consider, and I'm going to base on those decision criteria that we talked, the price, promotions, loyalty rewards, etc. And here the hotel website is critical as a channel. Also things like chatbot to take questions, content we're looking at, loyalty rewards, promotions. And here, if I'm doing my job as for instance, on a reward for someone that is a loyal customer, I have a great rating. I actually decided on this hotel because they're giving me not only a good price per discount, but also an upgrade on the room because I'm a very loyal customer. So here I gave you the fall in love part. And finally, going to the book stage, because of this, I'm going to buy. And here, what I'm looking for is an easy and safe booking process, because if I'm completely decided to book this hotel, but then my experience and my usability on the site is not working, it may be a problem and it may be a pain point. In this case, it went well and I had a good experience. So I also gave him the heart number 2, so level 4. And as you can see, this is a tool that I go step by step, and it is 4 building blocks, knowing the objective of each channel, of each stage, sorry, which is a channel, which is appropriate, the right content. And if I know what is the experience I get once I go through this process, I have a tool that enables me to identify the pain points and overcome these pain points. And if you have the time, obviously this we cannot explain you very in detail with the time we have, but if you take the time for your product, for your company, to think about this, to think about how does my brand, how does my company work throughout the stages with all these structure that we've been talking about, you'll see that you don't need a long time to understand what are your pain points, big pain points, what are your strengths, what you need to evolve, and what you need to upgrade and make it better. And so in a very short time, this is how this tool can work for you and help you maximize the customer experience of your brand.
So just to wrap up, what we're trying to explain here is that to really have an excellent customer experience, you really need to work all the touch points, all the digital touch points of your journey. So if you go back to the examples, if you go back to the booking or the Airbnb or the Uber, when they appear, you don't remember their huge advertising campaign. You remember that people started to search on Google for a hotel, and the booking was coming up on top, or Airbnb was coming up, and you were going to the website, and everything was easy. So the dream and discover, the planning, the selection, the booking, everything was digital. Everything was so easy to use that you started using, and you started recommending it and talking about it to your friends. So they really excel throughout the entire journey, and this is how we see it as a very strategic tool. So in the competitive digital-driven landscape of the travel industry, customer experience is not just a nice to have. It's not. Actually, customer experience is the strategic tool that allows companies to really differentiate themselves, to build brand loyalty, and really to grow and be successful. And to do this, to reach to this the success, you have to adopt the customer journey as your navigational compass that will drive your brand towards this exceptional customer experience, and adopting a travel language, ensure a smooth takeoff, enjoyable flights, and memorable landings for every traveler. So we hope that in half an hour, in a nutshell, we have convinced you that customer experience is really what you should look for in your brand or in your company. It is what has been driving the success of the new players in the industry. And obviously, there are many digital channels and contents that have to be worked, and that we'll talk about them in the future workshops. So thank you very much for listening.
We'll also be waiting for your questions in the end.
Yeah, we're here for any questions, and back to Anu, I think, or to Marta.
Thank you very much. You can stop sharing. Thank you very much, Pedro and Filipa. This was super interesting. Yeah, we have time probably in the end for a few questions, but now let's go straight to the next speaker, Kati Koivunen, who is a senior lecturer and a researcher here at the Lapland University of Applied Sciences, and her specialty is especially branding and how to navigate sustainability communication in the digital landscape is her topic. Go ahead, Kati.
Yes, great. I just want to make sure that you can see my screen well, Anu.
Yes, yeah, it's perfect.
Great. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So let me first introduce myself a bit. I'm Kati Koivunen. I'm a researcher, senior lecturer at Lapland University of Applied Sciences here in Finland, and I'm specialized in branding and sustainability communication. And over this next 15 minutes, I will cover the importance of sustainability communication. I will show you some real-world examples, and also I give you tips for effective communication. Today, I will not cover sustainability reporting, as I concentrate on easier to share formats and especially digital channels. So before we jump into more practical tips, let me shortly give some background information of why SMEs should communicate sustainability efforts to their stakeholders on digital channels. So first is meeting stakeholders' expectations, and as we all know, today's consumers, they expect companies to act with a broader moral responsibility, and to meet these expectations, we as companies have to be open about our values. So communicating the values and the sustainability efforts, SMEs can attract these customers that are really conscious today and build long-lasting connections with them, which then increases customer loyalty and affects the brand at the end of the day. So today it's really important to showcase sustainability, as in today, we know that the market is really competitive and the customers have multiple choices, as Filipa and Pedro was telling in the presentation, and standing out is really important. In addition, effective sustainability communication, it enables companies also to attract and retain employees who value sustainability. So to illustrate the consumers' growing concern about sustainability, here is an example from an airline industry. So this is a recent Instagram post by Finnish climate influencer Niklas Kaskela. So in this post, he challenged Finnair to be more transparent and open and proactive about the emissions related to flying. And he added some calculations of carbon footprint in Finnair's sponsored social media content and posted that later on to his followers. And as you can see, quite many have liked the post already on social media. The second motivation for adopting sustainability communication is that it is a way to contribute to the preservation of the region's natural assets. Meaning that sustainability communication provides SMEs with a platform to raise awareness about responsible use of natural resources, and by sharing the efforts with the customers and other stakeholders such as employees and investors, subcontractors and destination management organizations, the SMEs can really build up this credibility and trust and inspire also others to adopt similar kind of practices. Here's an example from one skiing destination we have worked with. In our latest project, destination management organization Visit Levi has produced a sustainability communication handbook. The book introduces sustainability principles for the whole area of the destination, and it was developed in collaboration with the stakeholders, local stakeholders there in the area. So the handbook actually provides practical tips for SMEs how to communicate sustainability through their own digital and social media channels. And since the release, I think it was last year, there has been increase in sustainability communication by SMEs in Levi on social media. One example is here, Levi in Alppitalot. So several stakeholders are now participating in the effort with the goal of creating Levi a more sustainable destination. Finally, digital communication channels offer a cost and time-saving way to communicate with the stakeholders and reach much more wider audiences that you could do with the traditional media. The consumer use social media for searching, as we learned from Filipa's and Pedro's presentation. They search sustainable destinations and services, and they make purchase decisions based on these content they can find. And the question actually is how to maximize the potential of social media and digital marketing channels, also the new channels like TikTok. Let's move on to explore the practical tips. So to begin with, it's important to emphasize that sustainability communication doesn't give results over one night. So it needs systematical work behind it. Another issue to point out is that sustainability actions have to prior communication. So there has to be genuine actions before we can communicate those to the stakeholders. So we can say that authenticity is the strongest asset here. So share genuine efforts, whether it's conserving energy or supporting local communities. And also it's really important to be specific. Social media users are not going to believe vague commitments, or when you say we are being greener or producing less waste, people do not commit to issues they don't understand. So it's really important to be specific with goals and actions, add in some numbers, dates, scales, anything that makes the message more understandable. This point I'm going to be illustrating here on the slide by showing you two examples from Finnish Lapland. On the left, I have an example from Hetta Huskies, a sled dog business and a website. They have a section titled as Responsible Travel, and there they give detailed information about their sustainability actions. For example, here they have stated that they give back, meaning that they cooperate with the local school to build awareness about animals among the school children. And similar type of message comes from Hawk Hill Nature Cottage Resort. Here they are really transparent about and specific also about telling that they minimize the waste of water by reducing the flow into 9 liters per minute. So those were good example about being authentic. Now, here is another example from Finnish Lapland. Seaside Glass Villas in Kemi area has done a really good job in articulating their sustainability efforts in booking.com marketplace. By this, I want to highlight that it is really important to share the genuine efforts in those particular channels that consumers use to gather and search information about your company. My second tip, we as humans, we are wired to connect through stories. So use compelling narratives. One way to do this is to engage with green influencers. So these influencers, they really hold the power to tell authentic stories to their audiences, and by partnering with them, you can actually reach their follower base and get customers that way. On the right side, I have an example from Harriniva Hotel and Safaris, an SME from Lapland who offer accommodation and nature experiences. In their Instagram profile, they really use, in a clever way, stories. Here they have storified a 2-day husky tour with compelling images and short texts, and it's really working well. So I don't know, take a look at their Instagram. My third tip is to use the power of visuals to present your sustainability efforts. Share images or short videos of responsible practices in action, whether it's a garden to table concept or supporting a movement. A great way is to use short videos. It is a big trend right now. Maybe you have seen much of those in TikTok and Instagram Reels, and they shortly, like a few months ago, they made a major update also in YouTube, where you can now also share these short videos. Another trend in digital marketing today is authentic content. And there we move away from polished and manuscripted content, and we merely try to document what is happening on a daily basis as we do our sustainability efforts. My example in this comes from a Finnish company, Arctic Treehouse Hotel, who uses short videos and compelling images to present their hotel rooms to the audience. They use Instagram Reels to showcase their sustainability efforts, and it's really working well. Those shorts has been watched many hundred times. Finally, educate and engage. Social media is a great platform for providing educational content that helps the people to learn more about sustainability overall. So share articles, infographics, other resources, so followers can actually understand the impact of their actions better that way. And the potential of social media, of course, lies in interactivity. You don't just share information, but you create connections, and that happens when the content is really entertaining. A good way to encourage audience to engage with sustainability efforts is to ask questions, host polls, or simply just start conversations with the audience. Here I have two examples left. On the left, there is excellent example of educational content. These companies share posts that inform people about the variety of bird species found in Finnish nature, and another one provides insights to the types of berries one can pick from directly from the nature to your mouth. On the right, there is an example of engaging content. Here, the company shares posts originally created by its customers, so using user-generated content. It's a good way to make sustainability efforts more relatable to the potential customers. Finally, I would like to quickly introduce a sustainability communication tool that can both simplify, amplify your sustainability communication. So together with my colleague Sisko Häikkiö, we developed a checklist designed together with and for tourism SMEs. The emphasis in this tool is on planning of strategic sustainability communication. And there is a link to the website, to the tool on my material, because I don't have time to delve into that more deeply right now. But thank you. It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you. And just to let you know that we are planning a new international project on this subject. So in case you are interested, just send me a note. And if you have any questions, thoughts, discussions, I'm happy to discuss more about this. And yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kati, for the inspiring presentation. We all know that this topic is very crucial for the future of tourism. And thank you also, Pedro and Filipa, for your ideas about the customer experience. And I was really kind of like, it was eye-opening what you said about customer experience versus customer service. So thank you very much. And now we can probably have some questions. If the audience has any questions, you can now ask.
I don't think we have questions. What we have is the audience asking if we are going to share the materials.
Okay. Yes. Probably, yes, we can. Well, if nobody else has a question, then I maybe have, I don't know if it's a question or a comment for both our presenters, Filipa and Pedro and Kati. How would you think about sustainability in the whole customer experience pathway? I know we don't have much more minutes to go, but I thought these presentations went really nicely together to understand the whole customer journey, and then to understand how sustainability can be a part of that. But do you have any ideas about that?
It's probably more on Kati than.
I mean, you guys maybe know better, but I think the conscious customers and consumers nowadays, they really need the information like right away. Pedro, you were telling that it takes our customers have like 2 or 3 options from where to choose. And if I was say conscious, or I am a conscious customer, then it's really crucial for me already in the searching phase that the actual company where I'm going to purchase my stay, it's going to be sustainably.
It actually could have even be on the selection stage, what I was saying, the decision criteria. If you're really, I mean, depending on how sustainability concerned you are, it could be even more important than price or any other decision criteria to book for this or that, to choose between 2 alternatives. And I think that increasingly this will be more important, because everybody is now more aware every day from the news, from everything that is happening in this world. And so I think that we all want to make part of a more sustainable world. So in fact, again, in different ways, it should be present in the whole customer journey, because you need to make people aware of their dream. Their dream doesn't happen if it is a sustainable dream. And then again, on the decision point, it may be a crucial element to make the difference. So I fully agree that these two presentations are tied together in a way.
Well, actually, I mean, talking about my own experience, when I decided and went to Bhutan, it's the only country in the world which is negative in terms of the carbon footprint. It's an incredible country in the way they treat and they care about all the sustainability issues. So it was clearly one of the decision factors, as Pedro was talking about.
All right. I see in the chat you are getting all praises and thank yous, and I also thank our speakers and also Marta. Thank you, and all the participants. And please stay tuned for the next webinars that we're going to have during this fall and next spring.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.